What made me change into the happy wife that I am today? First, I had to embrace the role of being a wife and wanting to be a good wife, wanting to be happy in myself, knowing the effect and impact that that has on my marriage and my husband and our household, that I set the tone of our household based on how I'm showing up, how I'm feeling, my own emotional state. So embracing that responsibility, embracing the role of being a wife and wanting to be a happy wife and be a good wife. The problem is, and this is what I had to see and work through in myself, is that wife to many women is like a 4-letter word. Wife is a very triggering concept to us as women, because it makes us feel that we have to be subservient to our husbands and that we will lose any sense of self or independence or identity of our own. And what I had to face and go through in myself, because I was also triggered by the word wife and didn't want to embrace that, is that when we feel that sense of we have to be subservient to a man, we have an intense feeling of rage and anger because of the loss of control that we feel. We have this very intense internal experience that we will lose any sense of self and lose any independence. And so we have made wife a bad word. And if we can't embrace the word wife and embrace the role of being a wife, we're never going to be a happy wife. And we're certainly never going to be a good wife. Unfortunately, feminism has really blurred the lines of our roles as man and wife, and wanting there to be no specific roles or responsibilities to a woman or a man in a marriage, that it should be equal in roles and responsibilities. And it has made it, marriage and being a wife, feminism has made it old-fashioned, out of date. And that ideology and indoctrination that we've undergone as women in our culture, it's caused us to feel that if we were to be a wife and embrace that role, that we will feel less than a man. And this transition in our culture has not been a healthy one, because the roles of man and wife in a marriage were created to make a marriage work. That we have to have certain roles and responsibilities, and one's not less than the other. That the role of being a wife has allowed me to know myself as a woman and continue to get to know myself as a woman and my strengths and qualities that are very different than my husband as a man, that I would never know if I continued to try to be the man in the relationship and try to maintain that control and wear the pants in the marriage. It doesn't work. It's what destroys a marriage and takes away the essence of what it is supposed to be. And the reality is that when we get married, it creates a team with designated roles and responsibilities. You know, you can think of an organization or a company, and the division of roles and responsibilities is what makes a company or organization succeed or fail. If everyone's trying to do the same roles and responsibilities and have equality in that way, that business or organization is going to fail. And it's the same with a marriage. We need designated roles and responsibilities to make the marriage work. And also, from a personal growth level, to allow ourselves as women to get to know ourselves, and for a man to know himself as a man, that's what those roles are designed for, that I have come to learn for myself. So I had bought in. In my journey, I had bought into the feminist ideology and was very trapped in that, and saw being a wife as a derogatory term and not healthy for my sense of self as a woman. And I had to see and recognize how unhealthy that was, and realize that when I got married, I became a wife. That's what happens when we get married. For the women listening, that's what happens when we get married. We take on the role of being a wife. That's what you become. That's what we're called once we get married. So I had to see, I made vows to be a wife. I made a commitment to my husband to be a wife. And that I have to take those vows and that commitment seriously and be in the role of a wife, because that's what I chose. We get scared that our individuality is going to be stripped from us and we're going to lose our independence and our sense of self. And I had to realize that I didn't get married to be an individual. I did not get married to be an individual. I got married to be a part of a team, which means I had to sacrifice being an individual on my own, doing things the way I want, and living in what I refer to as the universe of one that we do as women. That's what we sacrifice. Because when we become married, or when we get married and become a wife, it's no longer just us. That we're making a commitment to be part of a team and sacrificing our individual single lives because we didn't choose that. We have to realize that if we didn't want to become a wife and fulfill the role and responsibility of being a wife, we should have never, ever gotten married. That should never have been a choice that we made. It's not fair to our husbands. It's also not fair to ourselves to make that choice and make that commitment and make those vows and then not follow through and buck and rebel at their responsibilities and what it means to be a wife. When our husbands got married and made vows as good men, they took them very seriously. Whereas as women, we don't think through our vows and that we are making a commitment to another and that we're becoming a wife and what that actually means and what we have to sacrifice and what we have to commit to and follow through.